So I just finished watching Dragon Ball GT Episode 3, and like with the last two, I'm going to be going through my thoughts on it. This is my first time watching GT, and this was an episode I was interested in because last two episodes were really kind of set up. Episode 2 was mostly a filler episode, and this was their first, adventure in space. Their first foray, you might say. So I was interested to see sort of what it would be like and how they would handle the tone of the thing. Because watching the first two episodes, it became clear to me that they wanted to have some elements go back to that classic, fun, early Dragon Ball style, but they were clearly struggling with how the series had developed into a much more serious, action-oriented thing, and so I was interested to see how they would manage trying to balance that tone with an actual sort of instance of one of their adventures. So first things off, we start off with Pan, Trunks, and Goku on the ship, and we only get a little snippet of what life is like on the spaceship for them, because it's stated that they're in space for 1 week, and we see Trunks reading a magazine, Goku doing some exercises, Pan cleaning up and telling them to do the dishes and stuff. And so I really like that little moment of life on the spaceship, and I wish we got a bit more of that. And then it doesn't last long though, because very soon they begin losing a ship part or two, and they had already lost a very small ship part when they first took off, and now they're like a huge ship part just fell off. And what I'm wondering is, because in the last episode, I didn't mention it, but in the last episode, Pan got angry and kicked the ship and caused a bit of damage. And I'm wondering if that bit of damage she caused is why pieces of the ship are falling off. And I'm wondering if that's going to be addressed, if that's the intention. I think that's the intention, but I don't know if it's going to be if they're going to address that in any way, but we'll see. I'm just looking down at my notes. Oh yeah, so when they're crashing, Pan begins to get very, I don't want to say whiny, but she gets very scared and begins crying and stuff. And I'm hoping that this isn't a sign. I'm hoping that this is not a sign that she's going to be very annoying, for lack of a better term, because she's been very confident so far. But I'd really be annoyed if she just began getting scared at any sign of danger all of a sudden. Because this is a ship crash. This is understandable. But I really hope she's not just crying like this for every danger they encounter. You know what I mean? But that's another thing we'll have to wait and see. So they land on this alien planet, and the storyline is really weird. I gotta be honest. This is my most, I feel like this is all my observations with the show, is that I'm not saying if it's good or bad. I'm just it's really weird. Basically this entire planet operates on extreme, you need to pay for everything, constantly. It's all just even lying down, the water in your shower, you have to pay for the water, but when you're in a hotel room, you have to pay for everything, because it's all on loan from this guy called Don Kia. But here's what's really weird about the episode, is that for some reason, Goten, not Goten, I keep wanting to say Goten, Trunks, because whenever you say Trunks, I want to say Trunks and Goten, or Goten and Trunks, because they're they're like peanut butter and jelly. But Pan, Goku, and Trunks, they find a market, and they buy all this stuff, and it's okay, pay up, and I'm oh no, they won't have enough money to pay for it, and that will be the episode. But turns out they do have the money to pay for it, and they paid for everything, and they're able to pay for stuff. And I'm hold on a minute. Like, it's one thing for, like, you to have brought money into space. Like, I can understand if you brought it along, but I'm so confused because, like, why would this planet and Earth have the same type of currency? It's like, I'm very confused, and I know what you're saying. There are people out there who are like, oh, you're bothered by the fact that there's the same type of money, but you don't care about the stuff that they speak the same language or that they're all humanoid or whatever. And I'm like, there's a statute to limitations with certain things. I can, like, suspend my disbelief for certain things, like the fact that they all speak the same language, the fact that they all have vaguely humanoid appearance, but, like, having the same type of currency is such a weirdly specific thing that it just took me out of the episode. But basically, the main plot, like the setup, is that, oh, wait, another thing. Another thing that I need to bring up is that for some bizarre reason, like, they lose parts and so they have to crash land on this planet, right? And, like, for some reason, Trunks is like, okay, let's find a hotel to stay at for the night. Like, hotel? Why? You can live in your spaceship. You've been living in it for, like, a whole week. And it's not the sort of thing where it's like, this spaceship, it's not stated or implied that, like, they want to go into the hotel because they want that extra luxury. It's, like, the implication is that just, like, no, we need to find a hotel for the night because we're here. Like, it's so bizarre, like, the thought process. And, of course, because they leave their ship behind, it gets towed away. Just, like, I could predict that the moment they walked away. But yeah, so it turns out, like, everything on this planet is owned by this guy called Don Kia. And you have to constantly pay Don Kia rental money to rent anything. Even your house, like, everything. And so when Goku hears this, he's just like, okay, let's just go beat this guy up. And I'm like, yeah, that actually makes the most sense in this situation, because if Goku, Trunks, and Pan were to just go up to wherever Don Kia lives and beat all of his guards up and him, then there would literally be nothing that could stop them, because these guys have faced, like, solar system universal level threats. Like, this is post Z, so even if they aren't as strong as they were in the Buu saga, it's not difficult to assume that they're probably still pretty strong. I mean, I'm assuming, like, the way this is portrayed, I can only assume, like, even back in Dragon Ball, they could probably take care of this guy, but I don't know. But, like, I can, like, they say, like, oh no, you don't want to go after him, they'll send an army. Like, that's not intimidating at all. Goku has single-handedly defeated an army by himself as a child. So there's literally no reason for them to not just go there and, like, destroy this guy now and free this planet. And Trunks is just like later he's like, well, we can't just go interfering. But, like, come on. You know they're gonna interfere. But yeah, so if, like, in the next episode, if this guy actually poses a threat to our characters, it's gonna be difficult for me to believe. Like, I don't know what other way to put it, just then it's gonna be difficult for me to believe. So the episode ends with them finding, like, well, they go looking for ship parts in, like, sort of the desert, and they find all these, like, scraps and things. And Pan is like, hey, do you know if there's a Dragon Ball on this planet? And Trunks pulls out the Dragon Radar. I don't know. I don't know why I said Raider, but the Dragon Radar to see if there's a Dragon Ball. And a robot eats it and converts it into energy. And this is the little robot that's in the intro. So I'm assuming this little robot guy is going to be like a companion for them, and he's going to help them find the Dragon Balls. Like, maybe like because he ate the red dragon radar, he can now sense where the Dragon Balls are. Like, it's gained the radar's abilities, maybe. That's just what I'm assuming. But they see that like their ship is being towed away as well. So now the cliffhanger is that like their ship has been towed away and they're stranded on this planet. As long as the ship isn't dismantled for parts, I assume the time crunch for this episode, for the next episode, might be they got to get to it before they dismantle the ship. Because like, you know, like I cannot imagine a scenario in which it would be difficult for these characters to just walk right up and absolutely demolish Don Kia and his henchmen. Like Boo was like a universal threat. Cell was a solar system level threat. And even if these characters aren't on the same level that they once were, then they still gotta be pretty powerful. I mean, Trunks could go Super Saiyan as like a 5-year-old or whatever it was, or a 7-year-old. I think it was a 7-year-old. So he can probably still go Super Saiyan now, maybe. But that's my thoughts on the episode. It's been a bit of a ramble, I know. Again, I want to give an update because I know people are probably waiting for me to either go, ugh, I hate GT, or go, well, GT wasn't that bad, I don't understand all the haters. And right now, I'm just sort of floating around in the middle. Because as I've said, it's really weird, some of these decisions they're making. And if the power scaling begins to get really out of whack, then it's going to take me out of it. And I'm not even the type of person who's like a super in-depth like power scaler who's like, all right, I've calculated the power level of this character here. I'm the type of person who I just need consistency in the strength of the characters. So if, like, let's say if in the Saiyan saga, let's say hypothetically in the Saiyan saga, let's say Piccolo was easily able to defeat Raditz, and for some reason things continue on course. Everyone's training for a full year for the Saiyans to arrive, and then when they fight the Cybermen, who are the same power level as Raditz, and again, this is only a theoretical scenario, after training, then after defeating Raditz easily, then to see Piccolo struggle against the Cybermen, that would be the sort of thing that would take me out of the narrative, because it's contradictory to what he was like a year ago. And so and that's obviously an exaggeration, a hypothetical exaggeration of something of power scaling that would take me out of the show. So here, the reason why I bring this theoretical situation up is because I'm worried that that's what's going to happen. Like, if they begin to struggle against Don Kia at all, then I'm going to have a hard time believing it, simply put. Now, with that said, I'm not saying there can be no conflict, but you can't, like, it can't just be a physical conflict, you know what I mean? And in the hotel room, and so far they haven't done anything egregious or bad. For example, in the hotel room, when Trunks laid down on the bed, there was a chain that had kept him there, and he broke it super easily, which, you know, implies these characters are still really strong. And that makes sense. Like, I thought to myself, he's going to be able to break that chain super easily. And he did. And so right now, there isn't any anything egregious that's making me go, this power scaling doesn't make sense. And there is room for leeway as well, because now Goku's a kid, he might not be as powerful as he was as an adult. So I am giving leeway here. However, with all that said, I hope they don't do anything really ridiculous and egregious that just takes me out of the narrative. But we'll have to see. So that's it for episode 3. Hopefully episode 4 is enjoyable. I'm entertained so far. Like, it's not as good as Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. I know I probably have to say that a million times, but I haven't hating anything I'm seeing. I'm just sort of along for the ride. But we'll see. That's what I keep saying in these episodes. We'll see what happens.